Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Hot Perspectives, the show where we have franchise conversations that inspire. I wanted to take a moment to welcome my guest, Mauricio Mejia. Welcome, Mauricio. Mauricio is a franchise business coach and training expert in the franchising industry. We met almost 15 years ago working for a brand, and so happy for him to join me today to, I think, bring the audience in for some of the conversations that we have naturally as franchise professionals, but also as friends.
Thank you, Maliesa. It's somewhere between being nervous and terrified being here, but I know we have had these conversations many, many times throughout the years, and it's very important, very exciting being here with you.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So this is your very first time on the show, so just a quick rundown of how we do things here. We have this little baggie of questions.
Okay.
And we will take one question at a time, approach it honestly, openly, transparently. We are just giving our own professional, independent experiences, opinions. We're not representing any brands. Just want you to be honest about your perspective.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right.
Do I
Let's get into it. Yes, you do.
Okay. Should I read it?
I'll
you
read
read it. Okay.
Okay. So, this is a good one.
I'm pretty sure all of them are.
How do you balance consistency in training across locations while still allowing for local flexibility?
Consistency. That's a good one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as you have clear what the message is, what it is important when it comes to operations, right? You know, I mean, we've been in the same business for a long time, and we have faced that when we have different locations, depending on where they are, right? Let's say a mall, let's say just a plaza, or I don't know, a playground, something that is seasonal. We know the challenges that these locations have, right? So we need to make sure that they are consistent in the way they do operations. But we have to be flexible because we find different challenges with these locations. Size, amount of employees. Are they working outside? They're working inside. Amount of people. You know, the product, how fast it goes, how much they have to prepare, how much they have to store. So how do you balance that? You know, making sure that you have very clear what are the essentials. This is what I cannot compromise.
Right.
Food safety, for example.
Right.
That's
yeah.
something.
We both come from a quick service restaurant background. We've been in restaurants our whole lives, so food safety paramount, non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable, right? And then how can you not compromise, but how can you be flexible with operations, right? Making sure the quality of the product, the service, customer service, and that doesn't get affected. Just analyze, Maliesa. It's like everything else. So look around, take your time, breathe, and see opportunities. How can we make this better without compromising the brand, our customers, the product?
Yeah. I agree with everything that you're saying. And you have a great point about taking a moment to pause and check in on the audience and the people that you're trying to reach or train. And as someone who has led training for different brands and developed training tools, I can honestly say things have to move at a speed of light.
I know.
And so slowing down to talk to people, to look at maybe the way things were done before, what went well, what didn't go well, considering things like layout, number of team members, other operational challenges. It's important to building and designing the training in a way that is accessible and scalable for everyone.
Because if that creates confusion,
Yeah.
like if you go with the same type of training, not taking into considerations all those aspects,
Yeah.
how can I tell you, you need to, I don't know, bake this amount of cookies and compare that to another restaurant that doesn't have the amount of ovens or, you know,
The capacity.
capacity to do that, right?
Right.
So how can we get there? You have to analyze the situations because it's different.
Yes.
We still need to make sure that those cookies or whatever it is, it gets baked at the right temperature for the right amount and the quality is the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to make sure that those differences in timing or approach to the situation changes from location to location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember working with a brand. I think we might have been at the same one where we always developed training to be courses, e-learning courses. So training videos.
Yep.
And majority of the locations had back of house offices. So they had a computer to complete those courses on site at work. But then there were some locations that had no back office, had no computer. So we would essentially be asking team members or people to complete training on their personal devices or at home. So how do you work with brands to make sure that training is built in a way that considers, for example, the example I just shared?
That's a good question. That's a good point because unfortunately, a lot of times that type of training is just done for, which I know it is important. I know it needs to be done. That information needs to be passed on, right? But we cannot just leave it at that. That is just, did you see that course? Did you check that mark? Because that's what we see a lot, right? The things that you must do. Check, 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 check. Did you actually do it? Or was it your sister?
Right.
Or your best friend?
Right.
Where you were doing something else?
Right.
Did you understand the concept?
Right.
Who's asking you about that? Who's there to answer those questions for you?
Right.
And now, let's talk about any type of product. We don't need to mention anything in particular, but you need to make this product that takes, 4, 5, 10 hours to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have that video very clearly. But you're doing this training for a regular location.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have those little ones where the amounts are different.
Mm-hmm.
The quantities are so extra that video is not going to
resonate.
Work.
It's not going to resonate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people are going to think that they're doing something wrong.
Right.
So that's why you need to be flexible in that training department and say, okay, this is how it should be, but we are aware.
Adding context.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And being very careful that's the exception is just that.
Right.
An exception. It
Right.
doesn't become the rule. Because we have seen that many times. Oh, I have to do this because of that. And then, oh, that's what I'm doing. And then somebody else comes like, oh, I'm going to
do it a little bit different.
And all of a sudden,
and then consistency's out the window.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's a tricky environment. And that's the reason why when it comes to, in the job of a business consultant or regional manager or however you want to call it, those visits are so powerful and important when they have, when you know what you're doing, when they're focused, when it's not just to go there and shake hands. Just go there, go and visit.
Field visits with a purpose.
With a purpose.
Right.
Not just to fill a check mark.
Right.
And that is the problem, but that comes with leadership, right? But when you have that purpose, you can analyze and see those situations and say, hey, let's go back to the original. This is how it is.
Right.
And continue with that consistency.
Right.
But you need to be consistent as well. in your
Right.
approach
Right.
to your franchisees, to the
Right.
team.
I like the idea of structuring field visits, whether you're a business coach, whether you're an executive or part of the marketing team, or hey, even if you're a mystery shop
Yeah.
program. I do like the idea of structuring visit with a purpose and with some level of structure so that there's consistency in the approach. And I think we'll talk a little bit about it later, but that piece you put on evaluating after the training, that level of confidence that can come from checking in to say, okay, not only did you check the box, but you actually retain the information and the product is being executed properly.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good one. Consistency and franchising they go hand in hand. Can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that was our first kickoff question.
Awesome. Number 2.
Actually, before we get to number 2,
Okay.
no, we're going to jump
Let's
into
go.
number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Lucky number 2.
Ooh. I love this question because it's literally the basis of what Hot Perspectives is about, what this show is about. What is one courageous conversation that training leaders should be having today?
But I will have to ask you, what kind of leaders are you talking about? Because when we look at...
We're on the topic of training.
Yes.
So we'll keep it at kind of, let's say you're in charge of leading training for your brand.
Having those conversations with the people that, whoever it is, either the franchisor, director of operations, or vice president, or whoever that person is, are we on the same page? What are the values? What are we looking for? What is the message? What is it that we need to get there? And that conversation should be, or is, if you disagree with something is not working well, have that honest, open, and transparent conversation. Let them know.
Yeah.
Let them know if something is not working. Have you analyzed the market? Have you seen what the company has done before? Is it working? Is it moving the needle?
So the courageous conversation, if I'm hearing you right, is around, are we moving the needle? Are we on the same page?
Are you open to hear feedback from your team, from your franchisees? Are these ideas or this training, this module just coming from you because that's what you think? Are you at the store level to know what's happening?
Yeah, you just inspired my answer to that question. And it's a question that I have pop up in my mind from time to time. And it's a question I would probably encourage more franchise leaders to ask themselves and their teams, their leadership teams. And the question is, how are decisions made around here? And the reason that I think is a great grounding question to open the conversation is it provides hopefully an opportunity to analyze things like feedback loops. What are we measuring with KPIs? How does my team know how to disagree with me? Am I open to hearing something that feels like a disagreement? I think it's a good reflective question to have, and a question that I hope people who are listening will take a moment to pause and reflect on.
Because that's the problem, leadership. There's a lot of people with a lot of positions and titles that they're not leaders.
They lack the experience. And that's the thing, right? I've definitely met some great leaders
Oh, I
in
have
my
too.
time. And
I'm sitting in one right now.
Thank you. I've met some really great leaders, franchise leaders over my time. And the thing that separates a average okay leader from a powerful, inspiring leader is a couple of things. One, they're able to create a space for sharing,
A safe
space for sharing, for giving and receiving feedback. They prioritize spending time with the people that they lead. Doesn't have to be every day, every week, but some level of consistency in checking in with their people. Consistency, right?
Consistency. Checking in.
And the third thing is, we all go through ups and downs. We're all human beings, but I think when you're a leader, you have to take that responsibility for being inspiring, being motivating, being a coach to the people that you're leading, helping show them the way when they've lost their way, asking the harder questions.
You say something important. You say, show them the way when they lost the way. But I'll go back a little more. Did they show you the way? Did they even do that? Maybe they think they did. Maybe they think they're doing something. But when that doesn't happen, and then the expectations, what are they? When you start a position, is it important for you as an employee to know what you're expected to do? So you know if you can meet the expectations or even exceed it. I know you're someone who likes to exceed expectations.
Yeah.
Wow. But when they're not clear, when they're not given to you, how do you measure that? And then how do you how do you lose the way when the way was never paid or shown to you?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up that word, expectations, because it is an important word. And if I think back to those powerful, inspiring leaders, they did have expectations.
And they were clear.
And there was a level of accountability as well, right? On both sides.
Absolutely.
So thank you for bringing up that word, expectations. That's a good one. Now, going back to the point on courageous conversations, because I think it really is needed in professional development, personal development, as well as business. We talked about creating safe spaces for those courageous conversations to happen. What's one thing that has worked with you as a leader or working with great leaders? What's one thing that's worked to help create that safe space for the conversation?
Me as a leader, making sure that people know that they can approach me, that they are heard, that they pay attention to what they have to say. That is important to me to do. Now, when I am on the other side, that I have to deal with a leader, my approach has always been approach to them and say, hey, you know what? Something happened. Let's talk this out. The problem is, as you say, sometimes you find leaders, you find that person who's open and willing and not afraid and accountable and, know how to deal with those situations. But then you find that person who's afraid, not secure about their job, and they just don't want to take responsibility, and they just close down. And it's hard.
It does make it hard because uncomfortable conversations are uncomfortable for a reason.
And that's okay.
For a reason. And the natural, I think, human default is to avoid, right? Avoid the discomfort, avoid the potential conflict. But what's something that you've done or you've seen that has been, I mean, we have 15 years of friendship
We
and,
have
and
certain
relationship
conversations.
between us. And I can tell our audience we've had to navigate some uncomfortable conversations. And so maybe I can share, an example where then the first thing you have to do is get honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Check in with yourself first. How do I feel right now? Why do I feel like this right now? What is it that I want to say and communicate? What's the message that I want to get across? Is this a conversation I have to have? What are the consequences if I don't have this conversation? Those self-reflective questions,
What I'm looking for.
it helps to, I think, build confidence through clarity and set you up for whether this is a conversation I want to have or not, especially after a conflict. Now, if you said yes and you want to move forward, I think leading with vulnerability and letting someone know, hey, I need to say something. I want us to have a conversation. I'm a little nervous about it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say. Is this a good time to have the conversation? That's important too.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Don't just blindside people and think everything's just going to be good. You have to also check in with that person. Is now a good time to have that conversation? Can we talk? And just leading with that level of vulnerability, I believe helps open the space for that.
Absolutely. But then again, you can have those conversations, making sure, and having it at the right time. Because I'm pretty sure if you get to that point to have a conversation, you were feeling certain way.
Yeah.
And that's not the right time to have that conversation. Go through that self-reflection.
Yes.
It's like when you send an email.
Yes.
When you get an email and you just want to go and send it back right now. Wait. Hold it for a moment.
Yeah.
Give yourself some time, then read it again. I was like, okay, maybe not. Maybe share it with somebody else. Like I have with you many times.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yes.
Do I sound, is this personal? Is this factual? Is this, you need to make sure that when you go there, when you have that conversation is factual. It can be emotional, but don't make it emotional. It's not about me. It's what happened. Sure, as you say how you feel without blaming anyone, without pointing fingers or anyone.
Yeah.
Show vulnerability, accountability.
Yes.
If there's anything.
And don't be afraid to apologize. If you need to apologize for something, just apologize for it. Yeah.
But then I ask you a question within that question. What happened when you're having that conversation and you see the other person does not even acknowledge the conversation?
Well, conversation takes two people, right?
Takes two to tango.
It does. And so as we navigate life, we grow in discernment, we feel energy, we feel vibes, and we know when maybe it's time to take a step back. But the last point I'll make on that before we move on to our next question is I love that you brought in the sounding board. Being able to unpack a difficult conversation or a difficult situation with someone that you trust that isn't going to use it against you later, who maybe doesn't sign your paycheck or can sabotage your career.
Mm-hmm.
Having that trusted companion, counsel, advisor, it's been very important and valuable for me.
And for me.
It's like therapy for business.
It is.
It's like pretty much therapy for business. Yes. Workplace therapist pretty much. And I hope that more leaders lean into coaches and consultants to have that sounding board, especially when they're navigating uncomfortable conversations. I think there's tremendous value to that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. Okay. Number 2. We're in Canada, so we can throw in a little français.
Why not? This looks like the winner.
Ooh. We are both very passionate about training, and so I do love this, and about culture, so I love this. What role does training play in forming brand culture?
Oh, wow, good. What happens when you are properly trained?
You feel confident. You feel empowered. You
knowledgeable.
Yeah.
You know what the company wants.
Yeah.
You can have those conversations, right?
Yeah.
Because you feel like now you have the knowledge, the experience.
Yeah.
So when you have that, I can look at you as my equal. If we're working together, maybe you have more experience. Maybe you're better at me at something else, but we went through the same training. So I'm confident that I get the same thing with you. I'm not going to feel like less. I don't know this, afraid, anxious, right? And when I have that confidence, that creates a better culture because we can see each other as equals. We can work together. We can share ideas.
Yeah.
I can take advantage of your skills while you maybe want to take advantage of mine, right?
Yeah.
And that is so important to me. When training is not there, it's non-existent, it divides. Because it has people doing different things, thinking they're doing the same thing. And if you don't have a leader that actually looks at that and say, oh, this is not how it should be. Oh, the standards are not the same for everyone.
So how does that disconnect, that inconsistency, that lack of structure, what's the impact that has on the culture of the brand?
When you cannot consistency again, when there's not that consistency within, let's say, a team, when different people are doing different things and there's that disconnection, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel part of a group, a family or something? When you need to, let's say I ask you something, you give me an answer, but then I ask somebody else, gives me a completely different answer. And there's nowhere that I can actually find the answer or resources because there's none.
Yeah. That's that's something I think we need to spend a little bit of time on because let's unpack that a little bit. Resources and training source, right? When you are onboarding a new person, whether that is a new corporate team member, whether that's a new franchise partner, whether that's a frontline team member in your business, having a solid, structured foundation for training is critical to maintaining consistency.
Yep.
Critical to maintaining consistency. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing across the board. Obviously,
we talk about flexibility.
Right. We're not going to be teaching a frontline team member that's working 6 hours a week how to read a P&L, right? Or how to maybe manage inventory. But that's part of a training that you would, give a franchise partner. So there's going to be variations. There's going to be localizations and things like that. But there needs to be a source for finding information. There needs to be a structured plan on how to get from knowing nothing or very little to knowing more and very much. And there needs to be checkpoints along the way to make sure that progress continues. A lot of people think progress looks like you start here and you just go, and you grow. That's that's how we hope it would work, but it's not the reality, right? It's not the reality. Progress often looks like up and down, right? Or you go a little bit, maybe spend a little bit of extra time here because you need to learn. You don't have as much experience there, so you might need to, stay there a little bit, learn a little bit more before you move on to the next step. And then you might blow past the next 5. I was talking to another leader recently at a franchise conference that I went to, and she was sharing an experience of a new franchise partner that came on board, came to their head office or their corporate training store to do some training. There were all these concerns about her ability to be successful because she was very timid. She didn't really seem to grasp things quickly. And at the end of it, they decided still to give her a chance. And they put her in her own location. And all that lack of confidence went away. All that shyness went away. She walked in there like the boss that she was and really owned her business. And I asked the leader, the person, what did you learn from that experience? And she said, I learned that you can't always judge a book by its cover. I learned about the impact that environment can have on someone's confidence or how they show up, because she was in a corporate store thinking, I'm not in charge here, right? So that fed into her demeanor and how she chose to show up. So don't assume. Take a look at the environment. Is this person in an environment that they can actually thrive? And also asking good questions about how they learn at the beginning. Not everybody learns the same.
Yeah.
And so she said, next time I will ask those questions ahead of time. Talk to me about your learning style. Talk to me about how you like to retain information or get information. Talk to me about how you like to receive feedback. It's one of the questions I always ask my clients is, how do you like to receive feedback? Those questions, putting in that effort right at the beginning, that's where culture is built. Relationship, connection, right? Consistency.
Empowering people.
Through
training.
Yes.
Because when there's none, just think about, something that we see all the time. So we talk about franchising and how important it is that every franchise, they're doing the same thing. Why do they work? Because you go to XY and you expect the same burger, fries, or sandwich, pizza, whatever it is, right?
Painting job.
Yeah, just, my mind is in food, right? Sorry. True. Service, in your car, lawn, anything should be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But how many times we have seen that you hire someone who worked in a different company, the same company, but a different location. And it comes to this team. And all of a sudden is doing something completely different. You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, I've been working there for 10 years. And that's how I've been doing it.
Yes.
And it's confusing. So now, what kind of culture creates that in this team? Let's just look at it from just one restaurant or one location point of view, whatever the business may be.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody comes thinking they're doing something right because they've been doing it for so long.
Mm-hmm. And that goes back to the importance of having the foundational structure in place so that you can always come back to it, right? Back to basics. Back to basics. We talk about the importance of back to basics training. If you're a franchise brand and you haven't done back to basics style training in more than 5 years, even more than a year, when sales are down and things are a little bit slower, it is the perfect time to hit back to basics training and get people back to the foundational parts of what makes your brand work well.
Because it's not about being just an owner. It's being a leader.
Yes.
It's being a trainer.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. You may be great at paperwork. You may be great at customer service. You may be great at doing the product that you do. But are you great at being a leader? Can you pass that to your team? Or are you expecting that the franchise that you bought into is doing all that for you? It's about train the trainer.
Train the trainer. Yeah. Yeah.
See?
A must-have for all good, strong, successful,
Absolutely.
sustainable franchise systems. Train the trainer.
Yep.
Okay. Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Ooh.
That's a good one too.
The flow. What role does leadership play in creating a culture of learning? Literally flows from what we were just saying.
It's just exactly everything. If you don't have leadership, you don't have anything. Because, you're creating something, as a trainer. We have worked on that. We have created content for training content.
I want for this conversation, I want us to focus on leadership and how they show up in forming, in contributing, or taking away from a culture of learning. Because I think it's important for our listeners, for the stakeholders to understand the impact that leadership can have on brand culture overall, and especially where it comes to training, learning, and development.
It is important that, let's say you're a trainer, so you're in charge of creating this training program. Have you been told exactly what the expectations are? Do you know what the company really wants? Or it's kind of like open? Are you able to have that feedback, going back to that communication, that honest, open, and transparent communication?
Yeah.
That you can go and say, hey, okay, so this is what it is. This is what we have. But you still need to know what you have, right? In order to create that. But if your leader is not open to that, if it's not listening to you, to the people who are on the field, to the franchisees, to the team, and having all that information, I said, this is what we need. It's not what I think. It's not a me thing.
Yes. What does the data say? And that is such an important part to any conversation. Remember, the critical question I had mentioned earlier was, how are decisions made around here? And that question feeds into this one, because when it comes to leadership, when you have an idea, when there is a concern, when there is a change that needs to happen, what structures, what processes, what things do we have in place to receive that and to process that?
Especially like now, because you have to look at time, right? I've seen a lot of times where, wow, we've been in business for this long.
Yeah.
We're doing something right.
Yeah. Especially in franchising.
That's true, right? Congratulations. But how long ago you started this business? Can you compare? Are you certain that that business model is the same right now? The competition that you have, the expectations from people, I don't know, everything else, the world has changed so drastically.
Yes.
Are you stuck in your old ways? Do you trust your team to make those decisions, to make those changes? Do you bring new people from different franchising or other businesses?
Subject matter experts.
Yes. Or is it everyone you have pretty much
just agrees with, you make a decision and
that's what it is, and nobody's going to tell you anything.
Yeah.
They're just going to let you do it, and because that's how it is.
Yeah. That's that's tricky, because the weight of leadership, to have that responsibility of driving brand performance, leading people, showing up day in and day out, even on the days when it's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
The weight of a leader is not always easy to bear, especially during times of change. And so, what I'd like to say is, or what I think is important to bring light to right now, is pausing and asking the questions.
Trust your team.
And asking for the data. That takes the personal, I'm not going to listen to you because I don't like you, or I don't like how you speak, or I don't like how you show up, so I'm not going to give you any ear. It removes all that noise, and it helps reduce the bias that sometimes comes in to decision making, a lot of times natural. Unconsciously, right? Yeah. But when you have the data to support that, when you can say, we've had X amount of customer complaints, our franchise partners used to log in 100 times a day. Now they're only logging in 50 times a day. Our last mystery shop scores dropped from this to this. When you're able to add that context and data to the conversation, you're able to have a little bit more of the dialogue that's necessary. And then what you do with that information is what's going to feed the culture of learning, right? What you do with that information is what's going to feed the culture. So as a leader, taking a step back, asking the experts, seeking the knowledge, seeking the data, and then having the courage to share it. Share it with the people who need to hear it. It's not always everybody. It doesn't always need to go in an email, right? But having those conversations with the people who you need to hear it, and then
implement something.
And then that gives you the opportunity to show people, hey, we acknowledge this accountability. We're, we've done some research. Here's the data. Here's the reason why we're doing it.
But if I may, Maliesa, regarding data, does the company have the system to provide accurate data? Is that data being recorded accurately? Does it really? Because that's another thing, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it. Things like food cost and labor cost and all the stuff where it's really...
Yeah.
You're operating
junk in, junk out. That's data, right? If the information you feed it is this garbage, the data itself is garbage. So you make a really great point.
And it goes back to that. Are you training just the owner of a place, or you're training a leader that it has the responsibility to say, no, this is a business. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to make sure that I know how much I'm spending. How much, if it's, again, restaurant food costs or parts or inventory, such an important thing in any business. Inventory. Is it being done properly?
Yeah, I think that's a great question that a lot of franchise partners and franchise owners should be asking is, do I know enough about my business and the business model that I've bought into, that I own and operate, that I represent? And we're not robots. We're not going to retain all the information all the time. But taking a moment and saying, what do I need to know right now? What do I need to learn about right now?
And who can I ask for
and
that information?
And where can I get that information?
And is my company, my franchise supporting me on that? Do I know where to go?
If I don't know how to do inventory properly, do I know where to go to get that information, that training, that resource, that support? Yeah. Really important. That's good.
We've faced that a few times.
No, that's really important. Data driven, but only if the data is accurate.
And then you go back to the why. You go back to basics again. Why you've been in this business for 10 years and you still don't know how to do inventory? How no one has catched this? Why no one has helped you with this?
Yeah. Well, sometimes as business leaders, as long as there's money left over at the end of the month in the bank account, they believe they're successful.
Unfortunately. And all the money that they leave
on the table.
It blows my mind. It's like asking someone, would you just open your purse or your wallet and say to someone, hey, take $10,000 out of my pocket? Like, you would not do that.
Yes.
And one tiny little thing, and that's, I don't know, for me, it's so important. A lot of people might think, this piece of candy or this screw or this, I don't know, slice or whatever the product may be. 2, 3, 4, 5 a day. Sure, the food cost of that or the cost of that product might not be that high, but you're selling it for this much. So it was sold. How much was for the day? How much is for a week? How much is for the month? How much was for the year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Small changes make big differences.
Big differences.
Especially when you can back it with data.
Yeah. Again, data.
Yeah. Yeah. For those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just making sure we have time for one last quick question. Let's see.
Time was like we just started.
That's how it goes on the show.
That's what happens when you're having fun.
Yeah. So we'll make this one quick. And it's a quick kind of question. What is one common mistake you see in training? So just one.
One mistake.
And one tip on approaching how to fix it.
Well, the biggest mistake is follow-up. So going back to, ways of learning, going back to checking the box. So I go and train you on something. Okay, Maliesa, so you need to learn this. That's the course. Make sure to sign this. Done. Okay, Maliesa is trained. How do I know you're trained on that?
Yes.
Did I ask you that question? Did I know that watching a video is the way Maliesa is going to learn? Did I think about, no, I need to show Maliesa how to do this? Did I actually go back after and say, okay, what did you learn about this? Testing, just asking.
That evaluation step.
Evaluation on it. And then retraining. It's just training is not just one thing. It's not about passing information and throwing it at someone and say, there you go, you got it. That's not how we learn.
Yeah.
We pass, we evaluate, we retrain if needed. But if you don't follow up, how do you know
what's needed?
You stay, and that's what happened in most cases, staying at the first stage, passing the information, not even checking. It's like, I did my job, I pass it, and it's responsibility from both sides. It's your responsibility to learn that. It's your responsibility to let me know if you have any questions. But at the same time, if I'm representing a brand, if I'm the brand, it is my responsibility to make sure that information stay with you. And it could be something so simple.
It's everyone's responsibility. It's the trainer and the trainee's responsibility to make sure that they have what they need to show up for the brand. That's what it's about, right? Regardless of what side that you're on, you work together for the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would say so. I think that's a great tip. Now, what was the one tip that you said? Because you said the mistake, but what's the one tip?
What? The tip would be just make sure you have that in place, that follow-up. Make sure you evaluate. Make sure you have a system in place. That is not just a check mark.
It's a check-in. A check-in.
Yes, I like that. I don't know. Something...
Wait. Not just a check mark. A check-in. Yes. I love it.
Do you have team meetings when you discuss that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Maliesa, roll out.
Yeah.
We see rollouts all the time, right?
Yeah. No, I love that. The check, go beyond checkbox, check in.
Go to
okay.
check in.
Okay, I do want to answer the question quickly and then we'll wrap up. So the one common mistake that I see in training today, I agree with you, the evaluation, but I'm going to take it a step back and say that pre-work that should happen before you launch training. So understanding your audience is the number one mistake. People don't understand their audience. Is the part-time 6 hours a week student going to read a 3-page email or a 5-page document on how to make something?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a product that they might only make a handful of times because it's a limited time offer. When you are designing training, it's very important to consider your audience and cater and tailor your delivery to suit a wide range of audiences.
That's a very, very good point.
And the tip I would give to achieve that would be to build systems with inclusion in mind and accessibility in mind. So, does this training suit someone who learns by listening, by reading, by doing? Is it built in a way that someone who might be hard of hearing or might be have English as a second language or listens better than they read? Tailor it to that person. Tailor it to that group. Be inclusive in the design. And
that's powerful.
That's a way to, I think, encompass all kinds of learners and make learning and training more impactful and engaging. We're in the time of TikToks and 3-second videos. So, people are just not reading 3, 4, 5-page documents anymore. So we do have to adapt, especially as franchise brands, leading people through transformation. It's incredibly important to consider that.
And that's why it's important to have the right people at the right places.
Yes.
Because it's not about a checkbox.
Yes. Right. What a refreshing conversation. Thank you so much, Mauricio, for joining.
Thank you,
I think we got through a good amount of questions. And for our listeners and our watchers who might want to speak to you or get in touch with you and find out a little bit more about what you do, you can share your information on how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, sure. As Maliesa mentioned, my name is Mauricio Mejia. My email address would be, it's pretty much my name, Mauricio, Mauricio, Mejia, Mejia, @gmail.com.
Perfect. And what about your socials? Are you online?
I'm on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, the place to be.
Absolutely.
Okay. So follow Mauricio on LinkedIn, connect with him on LinkedIn, or shoot him an email if you're interested in training, development services, or just want someone to maybe bounce some ideas off of where it comes to training, learning, and development.
Sounds good. Thank you, Maliesa, so much.
Yes.
This was amazing.
Yes, you're welcome.
Really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. And for the folks joining, if you enjoyed this conversation, if you want to learn more, if you want to hear a little bit more about training and the tips and tools for success in your franchise brand, drop it in the comments.